トビデオ
Boy oh boy am I ever excited to talk about this dude. Go Nagai. Good ol' Uncle Go. One of the old masters of manga and anime. His impact on Japanese pop culture is massive, and to list all of his accomplishments would take an entire video, maybe two. The concept of a hot-blooded teenage boy piloting a giant superpowered robot to fight the monster of the week? That was him. The idea of an ultra-violent post-apocalyptic shonen story centered around a hero of the waste? That was him as well. The very concept of anime fan service, whether that be panty shots or just full-blown female nudity. Oh, you damn well better believe that was him. Go Nagai has certainly taken the medium of manga to some of its most exciting places, its most sexy places, and certainly its most darkest places. It's really hard to understate this man's legacy, and thanks to the success of Devilman Crybaby on Netflix, even casual anime fans know his name. And the fact that he is still going today is nothing short of awesome. And yet, a lot of the works we attach to Go Nagai are his works from the 70s. I mean, yeah, it was his peak period where nearly every manga he put out got a very popular anime adaptation at some point in time. But what of his creations of the 80s? What of his God Mazingers, his Jushin Ligers, his Maboroshi Panties? What about that obscure OVA he did in 1985? You know, the subject of this video?
後部中座をやっつければあとはこっちのものよいただき10万次元ドル
Dream Dimension Hunter Fandora has been considered by some to be a Go Nagai anime, even though he didn't direct it, or write it, or even produce it. But he did come up with the original concept for the OVA, and did the illustrations for the tie-in novel, so that has to count for something, right? Right? The plot focuses on the titular Pandora, a bounty hunter who travels through the dream dimension to hunt criminals alongside her sidekick slash mentor slash legal guardian, the shapeshifter Que. Pandora is in possession of the all-powerful jewel Lupia. This grants her the abilities of super strength, to summon her weapons, fly, gain a pretty sweet dye job, and turn Que into a powerful legendary dragon. While on the hunt for bounties, the two of them are constantly running afoul of Yogg Sothoth, a powerful dimensional conqueror who holds the equally powerful Endora jewel, and will stop at nothing to gain the power of Pandora's Lupia jewel and ascend to absolute godhood. This was an effort by the short-lived production company Hero Media Associates, and was arguably its most successful anime. But considering their other claim to fame is California Crisis, that really isn't saying very much. But you could tell Hero Media had high hopes for this anime because to them, this was a Go Nagai joint. To them, Pandora was going to be the next big thing. Huge marketing pushes, tie-in novels, soundtrack LPs for each OVA episode. They even had plans to send it to America completely uncut and with an English dub, which at the time was unheard of. Though considering this was the only clip I was able to dig up of said dub.
Our wives and daughters are taken as hostage, and Prince Ramia is used as a tool. It is impossible for us to rebel.
Maybe it was for the best it never saw the light of day. But if there was so much push behind this anime, so much want to see this OVA succeed like an OVA has never succeeded before, then why is Dream Dimension Hunter Fandora just seen as little more than an odd footnote in Go Nagai's legacy? Well, the answer to that is simple. Dream Dimension Hunter Fandora kinda blows. Like California Crisis before it, Pandora is an anime that starts out with a lot of promise, only to completely fizzle out in a haze of bad writing. It is the worst kind of bad anime because, like the Atlanta Falcons, it gets me invested before letting me down and leaving me pissed in front of the TV screen. But at least they get it done in 3 rather than 24. So what kind of potential did Dream Dimension Hunter Fandora have? And how and why did it squander it? Well, you can't squander potential without having potential to squander, and the first OVA does a really good job of getting your hopes up. Within the first 5 minutes, everything is set up perfectly. We start off with Pandora and Que chasing a bounty in space while exchanging banter with one another, effectively establishing their relationship. We then cut to them landing on a planet to secure the bounty, only to encounter the criminal they're chasing alive and having acquired a mech. And here we see Pandora use the powers of Lupia for the first time. This is to establish both her powers and capabilities in battle, as well as Quez turning into a dragon due to being exposed to the light of Lupia. And all of this is shown in a smooth, beautifully animated sequence, ending with Pandora straight up decapitating the perp and dropping the head off on the desk of the Galaxy Police Chief. Just that 5 minutes alone is enough to get you hooked in. The characters and settings are established, and the plot is already just beginning to get set up. The anime has a very kitchen sink approach to genre thanks to the abilities of dimensional travel. You got a space opera mixed with magical girl, mixed with dark fantasy, with a dash of Kinnikuman in there as well. The plot of the OVA centers around Pandora and Que pursuing a cheat bounty to a medieval-like kingdom, only to see that it has been taken over by an entity known as Pope Gilsberg. The Pope has taken all the women in the kingdom to either be sacrificed, sold into slavery, or forced to participate in his Thulsa Doom-esque orgies. Assisting him in this is the daughter of the king he killed, Princess Lemia, who could only be described as radiating powerful lesbian energies. I think the best thing this episode does is how it weaves exposition. While explaining the importance of the jewels of Lupia and Endora, Que is out drinking with Pandora. While it is meant to set up Que passing out so Pandora can go take the bounty for herself and thus get herself captured in the process, it is also integral in establishing the depth of their relationship. Que, despite his cartoonish appearance, is actually the straight man of the group. He's cautious, protective, and obviously knows more about the world than Pandora. Pandora, by contrast, is impulsive, rash, and has a bit of a self-servicing attitude befitting of a hotshot bounty hunter. This actually creates an interesting dynamic in which the sidekick figure is more of a mentor to the hero and is there to rein in their flaws. And yet despite this, they really see each other as equals who depend on one another. Pandora finds herself with the jewel of Lupia taken by Lemia, and is forced to think on her feet when thrown into a wrestling match with the bounty she's supposed to capture, all because she went off by herself and didn't have Que to form a plan of attack for her. Que, by contrast, is forced to transform into tiny, slow-moving insects because he depends on Pandora to do the heavy lifting, and thus has to resort to stealth. And of course, the fingerprints of Go Nagai are all over this work. But ultimately, it all leads to an exciting climax. The Jewel of Lupia inadvertently breaks the brainwashing Gilsberg had on Lemia, causing her to sacrifice her life to save Pandora and give her back the jewel.
Pandora, 昔の美しかった頃のレムであなたと会いたかった。レイミア、レイミア、レイミア、レッケルツバーグ、許さない。ルピアよ、正義の光を。
Pandora and Gilsberg engage in an epic duel using the powers of both their jewels, and in the process, Gilsberg reveals himself to be the antagonist, Yog-Sothoth. The power of the Jewel of Lupia also transforms Que fully into the mighty, but still goofy looking, Question Dragon. Ultimately, Pandora defeats Yog-Sothoth and is rescued from the collapsing castle by the Question Dragon, and with that, peace is finally restored to the Kingdom of Lim. All in all, a very strong first impression that sets up everything about Dream Dimension Hunter Fandora beautifully and keeps you invested through likable characters and well-animated action. It ultimately sets high hopes for the second episode. Clearly, things are going to get even better and more exciting from here on out. And then something happens. While researching this anime, it has come to my attention that Dream Dimension Hunter Fandora has all the makings of a troubled production. While there's no official story surrounding that production, it is certainly easy to infer because they changed the staff between OVAs 1 and 2. Different writer, different director, different character designer, nearly half the important roles were handed off to someone different. Also, you could tell by the end of OVA 1 that the budget was starting to run thin. By OVA 2, the budget is barely existent. And that fact becomes clear when we first take our first look at Pandora and Qued in this episode. Oh, this just hurts to look at. Just dreadful. Just painful. Just, oh. But it doesn't stop at the heavily downgraded animation. Oh no, this anime is in a free fall of quality in so many other ways. We don't truly know the extent of Go Nagai's contributions to this anime, but I think it's safe to say his involvement at this point is in the past right now. Any Nagai-ness this anime could have had has been excised, and in its place is just a gray soup of bland. Fandora and Qued are pretty much completely different characters. Qued goes from a comical mentor figure who serves as Fandora's better sense to this complete no fun allowed fuddy-duddy, and don't even get me started on Pandora. Gon is the perky hotshot bounty hunter. Instead, her personality has been replaced with that of generic magical girl number 47, not helped by the fact that she completely changes motivations halfway through the OVA.
悪いやつが嫌いだから賞金が欲しいからなんちゃって
Yeah, no, I'm not buying it.
いいわね次の賞金は全額私が自由に使えますからね
全額ですかあらケチ
当然よそのためにも超高値の相手を選ばなくちゃ
みんな食べちゃって
賞金首がうようよしてるところへ飛び込む極めて危険な仕事本来なら5倍いただきたいくらいですのに
5倍だバカ言ってんじゃないよ
One could argue that Fandora made the vow to not just be fighting for money after seeing the sacrifice Lemia made for her, but it would have been actually nice to see that character development happen rather than just imply it to excuse bad writing. As for the story, it's a lot to take in. The story of the first OVA was simple to follow. Go to planet, find out planet has problem, defeat villain, save planet. The story in OVA 2, however, is way more complex and feels like way too much story to cram into 45 minutes. Okay, so this is Kid Fandora decides to take it back to his home planet. Then they get attacked. Then the kid grows up overnight. Then the now grown-up kid reveals that he remembers losing his fiancée when the planet that they are now currently on was destroyed years ago. Then the fiancé shows up alive as a priestess for an entity called the Blue God, who then turns out to be Yog-Sothoth, who reveals that he resurrected this entire world and its people to kill this one kid who turns out was himself from years in the past in order for him to gain more power. And
this is getting stupid.
It's like cramming an entire pot of story spaghetti into my gaping mouth and then assuming I would care about what's going on when I'm more focused on trying to understand every plot point that gets picked up and dropped every few seconds. And what's worse, Fandora and Qued barely do anything in this story. All they do is fight henchmen while the kid and his fiancée get most of the plot focus through slideshow flashbacks and complicated melodrama. Fandora only gets her moment to shine at the end when she once again fights Yog-Sothoth in a now badly animated climax, only for her and Qued to be knocked into the next episode of the series. And sadly, it only gets worse from here, folks. Now at this point, I still had hope this anime could turn it around and bring me back in, but those hopes were dashed fairly quickly. Once again, staff changes abound. New director, new writer, and this time, we have a new animation studio. I mean, the budget appears to be back in some shape or form, though not by much. But that still causes one of the biggest problems with Fandora. Thanks to staff change after staff change, the anime barely feels connected. It's inconsistent and disjointed, and it becomes way apparent when you watch the episodes back to back like I did. Poor Fandora doesn't even look like the same Fandora from the first episode. And it goes without saying that all these staff changes not only had an effect on the animation, but the story as well. So it turns out Yog-Sothoth is launching a huge universal conquest. The Galaxy Police is nearly helpless to stop it, and Fandora is presumed dead. But it turns out Fandora and Qued are still alive, coincidentally crash landing on a dimension where the Galaxy Police are operating in. And do you know what the first thing they do after all that? Unprompted info dump.
目に見えない次元の壁に隔てられている多元宇宙は2つの宝珠エンドランとルピアによって安定しておりました。ところが神が神殿を留守にしている間、こともあろうに人類が次元の壁を破り、初めてのディメンションはその時から次元宇宙は安定を失い、平和が乱れ始めました。そして青い宝珠、フォンティーヌを裏切り心が荒れ果てていたヨグソゴスの手に入った。
Yeah, we're gearing up for the grand finale for this anime. So all mystery surrounding the world and its overarching plot has to be revealed now. It feels like we are watching segments of a story rather than a complete story. If this was a whole anime, it would be like watching the first episodes, then immediately skipping to the last 2 episodes. It just feels like there is so much missing to make this a stronger narrative, or better yet, a coherent narrative. Yogg-Sothoth could have probably used some more development because as he is now, he is a boring villain. His tragic backstory just feels very tacked on and told mostly through silent slideshow pictures, so we barely get attached to who he really is. And his only motivation is to be evil so he can fuel the power of Pandora because the jewel itself feeds off evil energy. He is literally evil for the sake of being evil. Quinn in this OVA is reduced to exposition machine, and Pandora... oh, Pandora. Pandora is not only stripped of what little personality she had left, but also her agency. She's constantly being told to do this, do that, and beat the bad guy because she's the hero and that's what she's supposed to do. It's all made worse when she's face to face with this asshole. This guy, Captain PK, is so loathsome and is only here to cause unnecessary conflict by being a misogynistic sexual harassment lawsuit in the making.
ほう、名前を知っていたとは光栄だぜ、子猫ちゃん。
何すんのよ。
礼儀を知らねえ子猫ちゃんだ。
What's worse is that he delivers this repulsive get back in the kitchen, leave the fighting to the men speech to Pandora, and the anime can't even decide whether he's being a genuine asshole or if he's actually spitting some hard truths to Pandora, because his words are constantly echoing in Pandora's head like they are essential to some 11th hour character development.
人を傷つけるということは自分の心にも傷をつけるということだ。その傷の痛みがわからんうちは次元ハンターをやる資格はない。人を傷つけるということは自分の心にも傷をつけるということだ。その傷の痛みがわからんうちは次元ハンターをやる資格はない。
God, I just wanted Pandora to knee this guy in the balls so much. And I think some people on the staff felt the same way because they finally just decided that he's an asshole worthy of nothing but contempt.
死ぬなよ。
Until the final battle, in which case he shows up and all of a sudden he's a hero helping the others out. Yay. And after all that, we get a slow, plodding final battle, which is not compelling in the least, with plot twists being piled on after plot twists, like Que being the immortal guardian of Lupia and Andorra, or Fandora being the chosen one, and Fandora cutting her hair to symbolize her fight for justice? I thought she already was fighting for justice. Okay. So she fights Yogg-Sothoth, she kills Yogg-Sothoth, she reclaims both jewels. Anime over, right? No, it turns out we're gonna read some more cliche drama with Fandora thinking Que is dead.
Kue! Omae わからんだろうな。
何がですか？
愛は奇跡を呼ぶってことさ。
You gotta be pulling my leg, anime. There was not even a smidgen of romantic chemistry between these two. And now you're gonna end it all on this "Do I Hear Wedding Bells" bull roar? Blow it out your ass, Dream Dimension Hunter Fandora. So, yeah. Dream Dimension Hunter Fandora is a broken promise of an anime. It promised us fun, it promised us fan service, it promised us Go Nagai, and it could not deliver on either of those fronts. What we got instead is gray sludge surrounded by bright colors and anime cliches done so boringly. If you're a Go Nagai fanboy, maybe you could watch the first episode, but pass on the rest. Save yourself the time and the headache. You could have been a contender, Dream Dimension Hunter Fandora, if only you hadn't collapsed in the middle of the race.